Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing really well and that you are enjoying the fact that we're now in spring. Yes! Winter is kind of over. I mean, it's still raining, but you know, what are you gonna do? The last kind of month or so has been a little bit of a whirlwind for me in terms of travel and being here, there and literally everywhere. So I thought I would just kind of consolidate all the things that I've learned about traveling kind of over this whole freelance career-y thing that apparently I'm doing, but also especially over the last kind of month or so because it's involved a lot of flying, which I don't normally do. Most of my work is within the UK, which is nice, but lately I have been kind of going a little bit further afield, which has been a lot of fun, but it's also been mildly stressful at times. And so here are some things that I wish I'd known a month ago, basically. Before you travel, check the baggage restrictions. I know this sounds really obvious, but you'll be surprised how many people are tripped up by this. Like, you know, when you're waiting to get to actually, you know, you've checked in, you're all good, you're waiting to board, and there's a lady on that desk and she's got a card machine out, and there's somebody stood there and she's having a right go at her because she's like, but my bag's fine, and the lady's like, no it isn't, it's way too big. You can't, no, I've gotta put it in the hold. I'm gonna charge you 50 quid for it. And we've all seen that. Do not be that person, especially if you are taking an instrument on board a plane. Now, I will link below all the kind of major UK airlines and their baggage restrictions and what they say you can and cannot do when it comes to musical instruments. Sorry, cellists, you will almost always have to book an extra seat. It's just the fact that your instrument is bigger. I'm sorry, but coming from a viola player, we're kind of in a bit of a grey area. So my case is technically over the baggage restriction of most airlines. However, I do have some sneaky tips on how to still get your instrument on board, even though it's technically a little bit over. So a really good thing to know is that budget airlines will be more restrictive. So I'm looking at you, Ryanair. They are able to be a budget airline because they are so much more stringent on things like hand luggage, how much you can take on, how big it is, all these kinds of things. Airlines like BA and Aer Lingus and even EasyJet are pretty decent, will be much more accommodating of you with your instrument. You're much less likely to have a fight with them about it. So I always recommend booking with those airlines when you can. Now, something which is really good to know, and is actually something that I found out the hard way, is that coaches also have baggage allowance. So for example, if you're traveling by National Express and Megabus as well, they all have the policy of basically nothing in a hard case can go onto the coach. Now, you may get a nice driver who A, doesn't notice your instrument case on your back, and B, maybe pretends not to notice your instrument case on your back and will let you take it on. However, they are not obligated to do this, and it is quite clearly stated in their policy that you cannot take an instrument in a hard case on board. So therefore, if they pull you up on it and they stop you, don't give them a hard time. Number one, it gives all of us musicians a really bad name and makes traveling quite tricky because people see you coming and they kind of gear up for a bit of a tussle. But also, you know, it clearly states they're just doing their job. So if you're trying to take an instrument on a coach, if it's in a hard case, it may have to go in the hold. And if you're not comfortable with that, then I would absolutely recommend traveling by train. I know it's more expensive, but rail cards are a beautiful thing, and they pay for themselves within 1 or 2 journeys a lot of the time. So absolutely invest in one of those, travel by train, and then you'll never have that worry or that issue. Again, if you're traveling by plane, make sure that you get a check-in bag. So make sure that your ticket allows you to check in a bag to go in the hold. This way, when you're going on the actual plane, all you've got with you is your instrument and maybe a small handbag or something. Chances are you're probably already pushing the limit of what you can take on board as hand luggage, so don't turn up with a suitcase, your instrument, a bag and expect to be let on with everything. It's not going to happen. So you're already pushing the boundaries, so make sure that you've got a bag to go in the hold, and then you just got one less thing to worry about, basically. Now, sneaky tips. These are off record, so shh. But Wear a black coat. If your instrument case has black straps, particularly if you've got a violin, a viola, clarinet, bassoon, you know, anything that's basically in a case on your back, chances are the straps are going to be a very dark colour, if not black. Wear a black coat, they blend in. You are much, much less likely to get pulled up by a flight attendant with their tape measure going, oh, what's that? What's that on your back? So just be discreet about it. Don't bring attention to it, and in my experience, they don't even notice it's there because they're looking down on the floor to see if you've got a wheelie suitcase, and they're not particularly A, looking at you, or B, what you've got in your back. So yeah, dark case straps, dark coat, much more likely to not run into a problem. Also, make sure that you check in before you board. Now, I know that kind of sounds obvious and people are like, well, yeah, duh, but if you do that, most airlines will at that point allow you to book your seat. Then you can get a seat at the very front of the plane, which means you'll be one of the first passengers boarded most of the time, particularly on Aer Lingus flights. If you're flying over to Ireland, little plane, they board basically from the front back. So if you can get on before the rest of the passengers, you can get your instrument up in the lockers? Yeah, lockers. I can't remember what they're called. Get them up in the lockers, and then it's up there, shut the door, and it's done. You will be far less likely to run into issues where, particularly if it's a full flight, all the overheads are full and you're trying to get a big case in them. That's probably not going to end well. When you're booking your accommodation, if you've been booked for a patch with an orchestra, they should send you a list of accommodation that they either recommend you book in at, or often orchestras will have sort of people associated with the orchestra who put up the extras. Generally, that's for a very, very low fee per night. Sometimes it's even just included, which is fab. So always check that list. However, if they are just giving you a list of suggested places to stay, don't just go off that list. Have a little bit of a look around as well. Often you can find something which is a lot cheaper and a lot of the time better suited to you. Airbnb is my absolute favorite thing, because often you can find either a complete flat all to yourself, or you can just, you can find a really nice room somewhere with a private bathroom, access to a kitchen, all of these things which, you either don't get with a hotel, or it might well be nicer than a hotel and significantly cheaper. It's also much easier to find somewhere that will supply you with breakfast on Airbnb than it is with a hotel, where often you have to pay extra for the meal and all this kind of stuff. Check through that list, obviously, have a look at it, but do a little bit of research around it as well. It's also worth asking around your fellow musician friends, particularly if you know that they've been to this particular city or place before, to ask them if they've got any sort of do's or don'ts or places to avoid, or if they've stayed somewhere. Often, if they've stayed somewhere really, really nice, they want to recommend it, and that's really great for the person hosting the place and all of these things. We all win from this. So ask around, ask for some recommendations, and often you can just find accommodation which is way nicer for way less money, and then you get to take home more of your subsidiaries. Get organised. Now, I know there's a few people who are just gonna kind of go, oh yes, I know, you talk about this every single video, blah, blah, blah. But it's so important. This is also my favourite bit, because I love a planner or a notebook or a diary. It just makes my soul happy. Print everything out. Now, I know, not the best for the environment. Make sure you recycle it afterwards. But I know it's really, really tempting to have everything on your phone, but if you get caught short with your phone battery and you then can't bring up your boarding pass to get on the plane, you're stuck. So print everything out, have paper backup copies of it. I also find that particularly coach drivers and everyone working in the airports are actually much happier when you hand them a bit of paper to look at and get the details off, than shoving another phone screen in front of their face that they have to zoom in on to read, and often they get a bit grumpy about that. So like I was saying earlier, you've already got an instrument on your back that you're really hoping they're gonna let you get on without too much difficulty, and getting all these people on your side goes a very, very long way, and giving them a piece of paper just with the barcode on they can scan is much, much easier for them and for you. And like I said, keep them happy, because in the end of the day, you'll thank yourself for it. So obviously, if you've got all these bits of paper and everything, you really need something to keep them all organized and together. Now, I have one of these. It's my pride and joy. I love it. It's just a travel organizer, and it's got all your little compartments. So I've got my tickets, my passport, my documents, and my currency. So I can literally keep everything in here. At the start of the week, I basically go through my diary. Where am I going? What do I need to do? I print everything out and I stick it in this bad boy. Then I've got everything. I don't need to worry about it. I can just grab this out of my bag and we're good. They don't get all like lost and scummy in the bottom of your bag, and you're not stood there like rifling through everything trying to find your passport. It's really, really easy, and again, just makes your life much less stressful. Get yourself some travel-sized toiletries. These make the world of difference. Even if you're not flying anywhere, you really don't want to be dragging a really heavy bag around with you, and any weight that you can save will go a very, very long way. And I grabbed these guys off Amazon. They're just like little silicone squidgy bottles, which actually hold a surprising amount in, so they're quite good. But they just make everything so much easier because you can just decant everything in and you're good to go. I also do raid every hotel room that I stay in, and those little bottles that they give you are absolutely fab. So just grab those and you can save yourself so much weight, so much just effort of lugging this massive case around when you've already got your instrument and everything else. You really do not want that. Have a keep cup on you and a reusable water bottle. When you're flying, you cannot take a full water bottle through security. So make sure it's empty, and then there will always be a refill station in the airport somewhere, or one of the cafes will just let you fill up the water bottle there. They have to, they legally have to, so you can definitely ask. It's really good for the environment, and when you're traveling, it's really easy to get dehydrated, and then you get tired, you're probably gonna get a headache, you're gonna get grumpy, and it's gonna make the whole thing much harder work. So yeah, water bottle, reusable keep cup, because hello, coffee. When it comes to what to pack, I just have a little list on my phone, which is the same stuff that I have to take with me everywhere. So it's literally the bare essentials of just the different toiletries, my concert clothes, my viola, metronome, all of this stuff. The kind of thing that I really want to make sure that I have all the time. But then there are a few little extra things that you might need to think about. The first thing, and it's really hard, is to pack as lightly as you can. You're not going to need all of your things. I know it's tempting, and you also don't need 3 different outfit choices for every single day. This is the one I am most guilty of, and I normally end up just wearing, you know, 1 outfit a day as per normal. So pack lightly, double check what kind of stuff the place you're staying at provides. For example, lots of places will supply a hairdryer, lots of Airbnbs will supply shampoo and conditioner and that kind of stuff. So then again, if you want to, you can leave that at home. Double check what you actually do need to bring with you, and you can save a lot of space. For concert clothes, get yourself something that doesn't crease too easily. Now, I do appreciate that for guys this is much harder because you have to take a suit. But for us girls out there, get yourself a dress that doesn't need ironing. I know that gorgeous silk flowy concert dress may look amazing. However, who wants to be hunting for an iron 20 minutes before a concert? So if you go for something with more of a kind of a chiffon style, then it's so much easier. You can literally just chuck it in your bag and not have to worry about it at all. Lots of orchestras also have a kind of a stipulation that women have to have covered shoulders and often covered arms as well. This is basically so that you're modest on stage. People can argue whether that's right or wrong. I think it looks really, really smart, so I don't have a problem with it. But double check what the requirements are of wherever you're going, but also just invest in a really good cardigan or really comfortable jacket that you can just throw on over the top of your dress and not have to worry about it, but make sure that you can play in it. I have again been caught out by that one where you go to play and you're like, oh no, I can't really move my arms, and then you have to play a whole concert like that, which is not ideal. So I hope that was somewhat helpful for the next time that you're traveling off somewhere. Like I said, I will link everything in the description bar below, including the travel organizer I have and the bottles and all the baggage restrictions, all of that. I will link that below so it's easy to find. But if you have anything that you want to add to this that you found really, really helpful when you travel, please list it below. This is purely just to make everybody's life easier. So if you have any tips, then they're never silly. I think that's the biggest thing with stuff like this, is that we're like, yeah, you're just packing to go away, calm down. But genuinely, stuff like what you can take on a plane and what you can't. Like, that really stressed me out earlier this month because I had a massive meltdown in the middle of the airport because I thought that my viola wasn't going to be allowed on, when actually it was absolutely fine because I'd managed to check in, book at the front of the flight and all of these things. So it's really worth knowing. So please, if you do have any tips or tricks, please do share them. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more of these kind of videos. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.